Guys, what's going on? How's everyone doing today? New boxing week. We had a busy boxing weekend. If you're new to the channel, I say welcome. If you're always here, say it's good to have you back. I'm going to go live twice today. This is my first live stream. Monday morning, 6:30 a.m. It's a new week, but we have a lot to talk about. We need to have a chat like we do after every weekend. We'll talk about our wins, talk about our losses, talk about where things went wrong with your picks. This is another great weekend for us in our Discord. Johnny says boxing VIPs. I mean, we were hitting everywhere. We've been on quite the streak. Guys, the link to join our Discord is pinned right here on the screen. It's a couple bucks a month. Click it to find out more. There's 3 different levels of membership. Whatever measure you take, you get into the Discord. I started at about this. We're going on our 4th month, and I want to get to 300. I want to get to 300 by the end of the month. We're at about 280, so it's growing. I say thank you for all the support. We put a lot of work into this. We put a lot of effort into this. It's a team effort. So you guys just see me on the live streams, but if you go to the Discord, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's not just boxing. It's MMA. It's American football. It's basketball. It's hockey. It's soccer. Uh, it's a bunch of stuff. So it's a good community to be part of. Click the link to find out more. We'll get this thing started. As you guys are tapping in, could you like this video, please? If you haven't already, could you hit subscribe and let me know how you did? So what we'll do here, at age, okay. So we'll go, I'm just gonna go along the cycle of the day yesterday. If you guys are new, what I'm doing is I use my Instagram story to kind of keep us up to date on our daily goings on in boxing. If you're not new and you're on Instagram, you want to link up there, just go to Instagram, type in Johnny Stofko, follow me, and then just say, hey, send me a message, be like, hey, Johnny, it's so-and-so from the lives, from YouTube. I'll follow you back. I used to use my Instagram for the first 7 years, 8 years for my fitness stuff. So I get a bunch of random messages. So just kind of DM me and say, hey, it's so-and-so from YouTube. That's my favorite meme. Okay, so we started off good. We took Kazim, made us sweat a bit. He ended up getting the late knockout, $1.47. Kurt Scobie was outclassed, outmatched. Admazim, man, when he really starts cooking, when he starts going through the gears, you start seeing how special he is, his hand speed, his power. He got Scobie out of there late. Hats off to Scobie, took the fight on short notice. He was just really over his head in that, and we knew that was going to happen. Jack Catterall did exactly what we said he was going to do. This is one of those fights where, we predicted it. We broke it down, stats don't lie videos. It's exactly how I thought it was going to play out. I said Jack was going to be levels above. That's exactly what we saw. Shout out to, man, I didn't say levels above. I said we would see another level from Jack. Echo Estemon's super tough, but what was his downfall? We saw it. He was entering the same exact way. He only has one speed, just coming straight ahead. And Jack's timing, precision, and accuracy was on full display. And Echo had his moments in middle of the fight, but Jack jumped out to an early. And from there, it was just Echo trying to run uphill. And with a counter boxer trying to run uphill late, trying to make up for lost rounds, it's a tough proposition. And Jack ended up stopping him, got the knockout. So hats off to anyone who listened to me on this one. Shout out to King of Fitness with probably the best compliment I got all day yesterday. He said, I don't watch. So I get people always message me about Teddy Atlas. I know Teddy's an OG. I don't watch his content, but I guess he does what I do. Teddy Atlas and Johnny be right more. If you're comparing me to Teddy in anything, man, that's a super compliment. So thank you. This was as the fight was going on. This was in our Discord. This was around the 8th round of Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank. This is what I was saying. And this is exactly what I said in my breakdown, what happened. You guys were butchering me for it. I said, and I want to talk about that real quick. The Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. scenario, it really came down to the coach in me. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, and being a former athlete and a guy who still trains, a guy who still spars. Today is day 1 of a week 6 1 rep max week, so I'm a strength coach, power lifter. So the strength coach in me, when I was breaking down the second fight, was like, the recovery isn't going to be there. the age factor, the damage factor, how much each guy got hit in the first fight, all of that wrapped with the fact that, there's a, where the fight was taking place, how short of a window in terms of recovery. Look, when we get it right, it always looks good. I wasn't that stressed about that fight. Like the Conor Benn fight was the one I wasn't stressed about. That's Conor getting here. This is, I watched the knockdown against Cooper, and obviously I've watched Catterall's recent fights in his career. Where I'm at with my money line prediction, I think the southpaw is going to be too much. I think his output, which people should be weary of in terms of the stylistic matchup, won't be an issue. I like his accuracy. I like his punch placement. I think he's the cleaner fighter. I think he's been in there with the better opponents, and I just think we're going to see a class differential between Catterall and Esterman. So I'm going all in on the money line with Elgato. This is not an echo chamber guy. He's the favorite here. He got hit a lot. He took a lot of damage. 7 months in the grand scheme of things at 36, 37 years old is not a lot of time to recover. We saw the footage of him in the hospital after the first fight. We know what's at stake. Legacy's at stake. You're giving me Conor Benn at plus money. I'm leaning into the dog. I'm hoping that Conor makes the adjustments I talked about. I'm hoping that he invests in the body. I'm hoping that he's able to control his emotions. And I'm hoping that he's able to break Chris Eubank down throughout the fight and manages his gas tank properly this time around. That is my pick up. Yeah, so we literally went 100% yesterday. We hit this past weekend was insane. We hit in Canada, we hit our 2-leg D-Gen parlay. We hit Jasmine yesterday. We hit every fight in the UK. We hit every fight in Mexico. Obviously, that's my little baby girl right there. It was my 8-year anniversary this past weekend. That's the flowers I got Christina. And it was just one of those amazing weekends where everything hit. You're going to get lucky. You're going to need some luck every now and then. The Landolfo Delgado fight, it was closer than I wanted it to be. And I guess, I didn't really think it was a robbery. It could have went either way. We did hit 4 weeks in a row of our dogs. So 4 weeks in a row, a month straight of picking underdogs. I guess that's what sharp bettors do. I didn't even know what that term meant. One of the boys in the Discord said that's what I do. This would have been 3 months ago. He's like, Johnny. And, some people say all I do is pick heavy favorites. Some people say all I do is pick dogs. Whatever it is, if you're winning on the picks that I'm doing, good. Let me know if you won and support me in any way you can. Either like this video, come to the Discord, super chats, whatever you can, a thumbs up. But yeah, that's, starting with Kameda, Lyndon Arthur, Tiger Johnson, now Conor Benn. 4 in a row. And I already got my eye open for next week. You know that, right? Pat Sabatini, that was one of the UFC picks I picked up. He just dominated Shepe. I thought that was going to happen. This is what I want to talk about. This is wild. So last week I started a sort of partnership with an Australia betting app called Dabble. Shout out to Dabble. They reached out to me. What I do is, I get paid for how many people copy my tickets, and I get paid, obviously, if I win, and then how many people sign up under my name. But I put this parlay in, 4-legger. They all hit, but for some reason my Ishmael Davis fight got voided, even though he won. I told you guys not to bet Sam Gilly. That's another thing. You guys were cracking me up. You guys were freaking cracking me up on this one. But we'll continue. Some compliments are always good. Appreciate the compliments. Landolfo Garcia, Landolfo Delgado. Ohio State remains undefeated. Da, 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 If you know anything about me, I'm probably a bigger Ohio State Buckeye football fan than anything. Where I come from, Northeast Ohio, literally my baby pictures in the Neo neonatal center at St. Elizabeth Hospital. I'm wearing scarlet and gray. So if you didn't know, it gets a little bit emotional when the Buckeyes are on. The Ohio State University. I want to give a shout out here. So this is what it's all about, boys. So this is from Boxing Booth. It says, shout out to the chat. He joined our Discord 3 weeks ago. That's 3 weeks of profit. We all eat. That's what we're doing. That's literally my goal. Is I don't care how much I win. I care if the people in the Discord are winning. So that's always my goal. You got it spot on. That's that boy. That's that boy. You cats were calling me crazy. You got to get lucky a bit. Got to get lucky. But if you remember, I don't know how long you guys been on my channel. I got receipts for all this shit. So you could go back to April when I hit 62 in a row. So I hit this streak from April to May, 62 wins in a row. This week, the week before, I'm somewhere around 30 wins in a row right now. So it's not just fucking throwing, you got to get lucky. There were a couple stressful ones, obviously, that's betting. I mean, how many bettors here when you hit, it's just easy peasy. That shit's rarer. Hitting a parlay or hitting a ticket when there's no stress is the rare feat. You know what I'm saying? I hit these more than I hit in, something comes in easily. And I don't expect to get, look, I also want to mention in the Discord, my goal isn't to get admiration or love by everybody, but I do keep track, though, in the Discord of the haters. So I like the haters. I actually value people who hate, who hate. I've always been, since I was a kid playing competitive sports since I was 7 years old, people who are haters, I actually admire. So thank you. Even in the Discord, people are hating. Dude, keep hating, because that's what makes me study more. That's what makes me put more effort in, and I'm very competitive. So if you didn't win, that sucks. If you did win, let's keep winning. Oh. Yeah, that's just a message if you didn't know.
I want you to put the word out there. We back up.
We've been up.
We back up.
I'm almost done. We're almost. Yeah, and this is the boy again. So there you go. 100%. Conor Benn, shout out to Win Santiago. He took the Conor Benn pick, 175 to win 402. It's a nice little hit for the big fella. Compliments, thank you. Compliments, thank you. Yeah, this was a cheeky DGen. Shout out, somebody in the chat earlier in the week told me about Jasmina Zapachna. I ended up putting a little DGen parlay on the live stream. We hit that as well. It was crazy. It was one of those weekends where everything was just coming in. So there we go. I'm going to say what's up to everybody. Sorry, chat. It took me about 13 minutes, but the first live stream of every week, I kind of have to do this. Manny R, what's up, brother? You're in the house. Rocket, what's good? Conor Benn, Jack Catterall, and Delgado. Hopefully you listen. We out here eating. Come on. Man, so much to eat yesterday. Still good. GMS, I was so wrong about Echo. You were right, my good brother. Oh, we're all good, man. Nobody could get it. Nobody could get it 100%. The other fella, I went back and forth. Look, in what I try to do, GMS, in winning and in losing, is always try to stay grounded, and not be disrespectful towards the fighters. Echo Esuman. I became a fan of Echo when he beats Josh. But for me, from what I do, I have to be very careful not to pick winners and losers based off of emotions. So I try. My whole goal is to, when I'm doing tape, when I'm picking winners and losers, it always has to come down to strategy, game plan, method of victories, path to victories, that sort of thing. And so with Echo, I just, what I couldn't get past was his one-dimensional approach to enter the pocket. He has such pride, and he's such a brave fighter, and he wants to be on the inside, but he doesn't hide anything. And when you put that style, man, in front of a guy like Jack, who likes to counterbox, who likes that, wants you to run in and catch you with something, that was the main objective for me. Why I like Jack. And then the resume, the legacy, the career, the switch to Philly, all that played out too, and all that was just kind of cherry on the top with making the pick look good. Gonna celebrate a good weekend, but I'm not gonna lie that bro, hold up, I gotta give a dude. The chat here is crazy. I'm gonna get dude. Discord. You guys are insane in the Discord, by the way, because I couldn't get a stream. I was watching the UFC during the Delgado fight, and I hope PJ's on this live stream. You guys were keeping me up to date. I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean. You guys were saying that Delgado lost. You guys were out. You know what? It might take too long. The chat's insane. Anyway, the chat during the Delgado fight was doing a round by round, and they were saying that it was over and Guyaz won. And so I had already had a meltdown behind closed doors because I had Delgado as my lock on everything. And I was getting, dude, you guys are trolling in the Discord? That's next level. I mean, I found it hilarious, but you guys are insane in the PJ, man, wherever you are, you're out here. You gave me a heart attack. I almost jumped off the building. They're like, oh, yeah, he lost. I go, what? What are you talking about? He lost. And shout out to, I think it was, is it Gil? When the card was, because when the cards were being read, I had already thought Lindolfo lost. Yeah, but anyway, that was a close one. Guys, there's always going to be close ones. Makey Crazy in the house. What's up, buddy? Thanks for sending me the VPN information on the email. I got to be honest with you. Still wasn't able to work it out, but I appreciate you. Mar, salute. You think there's a chance JSB Chill Club to cover this? Yeah, I got to respond back to him. I got a message from TJ in the Discord. But like I always say on the live streams, I get back to everybody with the messages. But when we get to about 24 hours out of fight nights, I don't answer anyone's messages because I don't want to be convoluted with somebody else's. A, I don't want to change somebody's opinion on a fight. I'm not trying to ever talk anybody out. You know what I'm saying? And then B, I don't want to start second guessing my own stuff. So what I've found out over the last 6 months is that when I'm checking messages on fight night or the night before fight, and there's guys that I kind of listen to what they have to say about the fight game. It's kind of I've kind of flip-flopped before in the past. So now over the last month, I have a rule. 24 hours out of fight night for me, all the private messages from guys that I respect their opinion, I don't answer until after the fight. So I have to answer. TJ sent me a message. I got to get back to him. And dude, the collabs with TJ are always the best. Now they're not going to do a third one. They're not going to do a third one. Eubank did look terrible. Yeah, I mean, guys, put your hand up if you were on the live stream all last week. What did I tell you about our central nervous system? I know sometimes I can nerd out a little bit on the live streams. I am a coach, so just as I'm really into the tiny details of boxing and the technique, I'm also a strength coach. So you guys would be shocked with how technical a deadlift is, how technical a back squat is, even how technical a bench press is. People don't realize the body mechanics, the body positioning, breath work, when you're supposed to extend, exhale, concentric, eccentric extension. All this stuff is what I coach. I never really talk about it. But one of the things about Eubank, what I talked about all last week, was our body's central nervous system and the role that brain trauma plays on recovery, especially in human performance. And that was literally my number one reason why. I started my reason for picking Conor, and I just did sort of a diagram. 7 months, not long enough for Chris. And then from there, when I'm writing my notes, here's why, here's why, here's why. And that's sort of my system as well when I'm breaking down fights. I'm an old school sort of cat. So, like, I'll handwrite stuff first. I would show you that Sam Gilly, like, I'll handwrite stuff first, and then I'll film. And I just couldn't get past the 7 month. It wasn't long enough. Cat looked revamped under Bozy. Can Bozy be making a case for trainer of the year? His trainer's stable, good stable, man. He got some he has a few nice little up and comers too. Chef Ishmu, he only has a few pro fights. I like watching him fight. Catterall lucky Esimon is pure garbage. Still took Catterall way too long. Huh. Esimon's pure garbage. That's a little bit mean. I don't know if it's just me, but live stream is pretty static this morning. Static. I don't know what that means. I know what static means. It's not just you, very static. So the feed, another stack week of boxing incoming. We got the Wasserman. Yeah, a bunch of fights coming up. I just met Jay Cutler. Oh, you know Jay's my boy. You should have been like, yo, tell Johnny what's up. Jay's a friend of mine. Shout out Johnny. I want 650. Listen for you to come upset. Get your money, playboy. Gary was way off. We can't always be right. We can't always be right, guys. Static. So the connection, my connection's super clear. Adolfo Delgado's on borrowed time. Don't see him being able to. What I was told more is that Delgado cuts a lot of weight. I heard he's like him even coming to 140 is sort of a mission. Maybe it's a weight thing. You could see though there are moments of class. You can see why. You can see that Olympic pedigree. But you could also see holes in the game. Penn State, I want to win. How to eat respectfully. Johnny, what holds you back from going big on bags when you have a proven track record? Because I'm not. I don't want to see. I want you guys to win. Like take my picks. I'm not in this to make money off of gambling. I'm in this to build a community. It's a great question. I've told you this since jump, guys. You guys are the ones who made me start giving you my predictions 6 months ago. I wasn't doing live streams. I was doing my breakdowns, the boxing channel, but I wasn't giving you my predictions because I didn't want to make it about that. I didn't want, but now we're here, and I never got into this to make it about gambling. That's not what excites. Winning money off of my picks doesn't excite me. So you'll never hear me say, "Let's get rich," or you'll say, "Let's." Nah, I love boxing, man, and I love studying, and I love, talking about my favorite sport and building a community. You guys take what you want with it and make money off of it. Parlay failed because Jack went by TKO instead of decision. Yeah, so I never combined method of victory parlays with moneyline parlays, and the odds there were already good because on one of my parlays I had Jack by decision too. But that was a method of victory parlay. That's us just getting greedy. Azim was impressive. I think that was the best performance. Yeah, so Azim is one of these guys, Will, and I'm sure you know. And this is what I was trying to explain in the Discord, is the fact that Adam Azim is one of these guys that we're going to continue. We will see the best out of him when he is pressed. His best attributes are his intuitive boxing, meaning that like speed, reflexes, counters. He also has a natural aggression about him. And you saw Kurt Scobie. Did Scobie even throw a punch in the first few rounds? He just had that high guard, and he was fighting so negatively. You think you're going to beat a guy over a long period of a fight like Azim fighting negatively? No, but then what's your option? Go out on your shield. Azim's hand speed is something to behold. We do want to see him get touched. It's boxing. We have to see if he has a chin. We have to see his durability. Through his body language, you could see he wants to be there. It's not one of these things where you could just say, "Oh, Adam wants a clean fight." It's not the case. He got a dog in him, and he's only 23, so let's be patient with him. But you keep putting performances on, and keep stopping guys. Before you know it, you're there. Pedro, salute to you, big dog. Esimon. Okay, so history. Did you lose money on? Did you lose money on Echo? Yeah. We're agreeing. We're agreeing. It's just our delivery is probably a bit different, right? Delgado, Goyaz was just a close fight with close cards, no robbery. Delete the trolls. We trolling out here? Oh, and I'm not deleting anybody. I'm not deleting anybody, Box. We gotta keep. I like them. I like the trolls. I'm here for it. No, Pedro, I'm not gonna comment on your Brandon Figueroa comment. You know, he's on my no bet list. Johnny, Johnny, did you have? I did have a good anniversary. Any chance you give me a 5-leg parlay at today's NBA? Ozzy, hey Ozzy, do me a favor. If you want that, could you go to the NBA channel in our Discord and tag me, and then after this, because I have to I still have clients. I have a couple. It's my Monday morning, so I'm working. So tag me in our Discord, and then I'll put a prop parlay together for you. Nice rumble with Varon and Roman Villa on Pro Box. Yeah, I can't. I want to see that fight as well. Roman Villa. Damn, we really haven't seen him since. Has he fought since that Boots knockout? Well, we just haven't heard of him. His team stepped to him and beat him up. I rated it. Yeah, so do I. I think there's just so much the upside with Adam Azim. Everything from the physical stuff, everything from the the things that you train and the things that you don't train, the gifts that are given to us through genetics, and then the gifts that are given to us through discipline and hard work, skills, develop skills, the hours in the gym. All of those, there's so many of those for Azim to be excited about. I think I said this earlier last week, and I don't think it's too controversial. Is there a better prospect coming out of the UK? I mean, Moses is a contender, so I wouldn't put Moses as a prospect. Adam Azim is that guy. What was that, his 14th pro fight? He's legit, man. I didn't lose money on him, just being honest. Yeah. Yeah. But, he's doing his best. Cleveland native Dante Benjamin features on Friday's Pro Box card, free smoke. Good looking out. So that Pro Box card is probably will be on YouTube, right? Dude, the Pro Box cards are great. The thing about the Pro Box cards, though, is that they put on a lot of good 50-50 fights. So when we're betting on these fights, it's stressful. I mean, we look good when we hit. I mean, we had, obviously, the more recent times we hit on Tiger. Angelo Leo. Leo's a Pro Box guy. Didn't we see was Sugar Nunez when Sugar Nunez went to Japan? Was that on Pro Box? Not his last fight, but the fight before that he went to Japan. I think that might have been a Pro Box fight too. Sugar Nunez fighting Emmanuel Navarrete. Did you guys hear that news? We talked about it this past weekend. Poor Charlie Suarez, man. Ali Penfield, imagine putting bet for under 1.5 knockdowns to the Benn Eubank fight. Then I know, bro. See, I don't get sexy with those knockdown props. The knockdown prop. Look, the odds were so good this weekend. On I told you, at least 5 fights. We had 5 fights that the odds were good enough to not have to get sexy, and we didn't have to do it. If you picked them right, if you picked Adderall, if you picked Conor, I can't believe how many people picked Chris going into fight week. Even even right now, man, I'm not going to put anyone on blast, but I always got an eye open and an ear open. So I'm watching and listening to other content creators who are in my space, and people are still shading Conor Benn. It's like, bro, man, give the 28-year-old some props, dude. The adjustments Conor made were great. Everybody's going to focus on how shitty Chris looked, which is fine, but focus on how good Conor looked. You know what I mean? It's an interesting psychological game we play with ourselves whenever we're choosing what to focus on. It's focusing on the negative. It's interesting how some people go straight there. Yeah, Ben looked great, dude. The adjustments he made, the discipline he was having, the jab looked good, the athleticism looked good. The legs, something nobody. I'm watching these guys cry. All these guys are crying about Chris Eubank. I'm like, bitch. Talk about Conor. The legs, the power, the explosivity of how he's coming in and he's squatting, he's slipping, he's fainting here. The activity, man, that's that youthful energy. And come on, dude, tell me our sport doesn't need a guy like Conor Benn. Boxing, guys like Conor Benn are perfect for boxing. You tell me you don't want to see a Conor Benn versus Rolly Romero fight week? What, dude? I would be all about that. Conor Benn versus Rolly Romero fight week? Psh, sign me up. Are we so 30 minutes into our first live stream of the week? Are we already looking towards next week? I could do it. Let's pull it up. All right, guys. So Mason money line, knockdown props dropping hard. All right, so look, this is where I tell you something that you guys are probably gonna be shocked at. You guys are probably gonna get shocked at this next statement. It's about Abdullah Mason. It's about Sam Noakes. So I'm not telling you I'm taking Noakes to win, but in my notes, the first thing I wrote, and I talked about this 2 weeks ago, the first asterisk by Abdullah Mason is him not setting up his back uppercut. It's him getting dropped twice, throwing the same punch. That punch made, dude, and I talked about this in boxing. There's really only 2 times you should ever throw a back uppercut, a rear uppercut, whether you're an orthodox fighter or a southpaw, in a combination or in a counter situation. So in a combination, maybe a boom, 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 or even a lead, boom, boom. You never just pick, pop, and then throw that. He did the fight. He got dropped twice. He does that twice, and he didn't learn from anything. He did it again and got dropped. He eventually went out there and stopped his opponent. He's young. He's fun. He's exciting. He's a Cleveland guy. I'm going to be taking Abdullah. It's just that I'm not 100% confident in taking Abdullah. It's not one of these fights where people are like, "Oh, he's going to wash Sam Noakes." Sam Noakes is Sam Noakes can box, man. Watch his output. There's definitely a conversation we need to have Mason versus Noakes, 100%, in terms of fight IQ, punch placement, decision making, bright lights, title, the youthfulness, the step up. There's a conversation that we're gonna have to have about Noakes versus Mason. I mean, people are just writing off Sam Noakes, man. I don't know, dude. That's all I'm saying. Mason by knockout, 215. So people think they're just going to go in and knock Sam Noakes out? That's freaking insane to me. Have you guys seen Sam box? Five foot 8 orthodox, 28 years old, 74% career knockout to win ratio. Who's his loss to? What, first pro fight? Yeah. Ted Cheeseman. He fought Ted Cheeseman in his first pro fight. You guys should recognize Ted Cheeseman. This fight's in Riyadh. I don't like the fight that's another thing. I don't like that this fight's in Riyadh. I'll tell you why. I talked about this last week. So 5'8", Abdullah's 5'9". Abdullah's reach. We know everything about the southpaw. There's so much to like him. He's probably one of my favorite fighters. I love watching Abdullah Mason fight, and that's probably why I'm being critical on the matchup. It's kind of how I roll. You guys know that. I start every fight week. Every fight week. If I like a guy going into, I'll start here, and I have to work my way back to him. I have to talk about all of the ways he could lose to get myself back. It's probably why I have good success picking these winners. It's my process, dude. I do it with every goddamn fight. And if you're on my live streams every week, you know. But I don't like the fight. I don't like the fact that it's in Riyadh. Only because of the crowd. There's something to say about fighting as a prize fighter when we know the benefits of having a roar, having a crowd, Abdullah like selling out, we used to call it the Gund Arena. I don't know what it's called anymore, the Gund where the Cavs play. But I want to see Abdullah for a world title in Cleveland. That place would be going insane. But in Riyadh, you lose sort of the enigmatic approach, the electrifying, and sometimes fighters need that. Sometimes they don't. Abdullah seems like a guy who could care less about that. He's pretty samurai like. It's going to be a fun fight to break down. I'm uploading my prediction tomorrow, by the way. Okay, so I'm not the only one. Yeah, I do not like that fight's in Riyadh. Let's pull up the whole card to remind everybody. But there's some good fights on the card. There's some good fights this week. I'm not getting, guys, what book are you using to get the Pro Box odds? I'm not getting any of that. I mean, look at that card, dude. Noakes versus Mason. I mean, Bam versus Puma. Oh my God, Norman versus Haney. We didn't even talk about Norman versus Haney yet. We're 37 minutes in. Didn't even talk about it, which is great. Benavidez versus Yard. They put Vito on this card. I am not on Vito. Sorry. I don't really rate Melnicki. Samuel Noma. Muhammad Alakal. We've seen Muhammad fight a few times. Muhammad is Turkey's boy. He's always on these cards. Julia Ruiz. Yeah, it's short heavy with his boys initially. Vito, I'm sure Turkey has a relationship with Melnicki's pops, who's a promoter. Those first four, those last four off the hook. I want to see the odds right now on Haney and Norman. All right, what do you guys think this fight's going to do in terms of odds? I think this is one of these fights, just statistically with these odds. It's still Sunday in America, so you guys are watching football. But once tomorrow comes, and then the following day, and all the clickbait YouTube boxing content creators are going to be doing their takes on Devin and all that good stuff, people are going to see Devin's the underdog. Money is going to definitely come in on Devin. So here's my advice to you gamblers out there. If you want Brian Norman Jr., I would wait. I'm waiting. I'm taking Brian in this fight. I'm going to wait probably till Thursday or Friday to put my bet in, because I bet you by Thursday or Friday, these odds are going to flip-flop, and Norman will be the underdog. Based off of recency bias in terms of hype, people think that Devin Haney is going to just outbox Norman, and for some people, the jury is still out on how good Norman is. I'm not one of those. I'm a Brian Norman Jr. truther. I think he's Joe Frazier reincarnate. I love the mental game he has. I love his left hook. I like his feet. I like his willingness to trade. And you mix that with kind of a guy like Devin, who's just watches Ramirez fight. It's tough to psychologically ever come back. It's tough to get that. Look, I'm not saying how do we say this? Okay, so in baseball, you don't really see this in the pros. But I saw this in college, and I saw this in high school. Definitely saw this younger. But a home run hitter, a guy who could really crack the ball. I knew a couple of them. They got hit by, they start getting hit by a pitch. they get hit in the head, you become kind of gun shy a little bit. You could sometimes overcome that, but some guys are never the same. They catch a fastball to the helmet, they're gonna think twice standing in the batter's box, and when that curveball, so a right-handed batter, right-handed pitcher, a good curveball is gonna start at your head, and then at the last second, it's gonna break right in front of the plate. So a good hitter, a seasoned hitter, will be able to see the seams on the pitch and be able to tell that that's going to be a curveball. So you wait. As it's coming, you don't flinch. You wait because you know you're going to time it here. Boom, and you crack that. Now, you see some guys, some power hitters, they get kind of shook a little bit if they start, the pitcher starts pitching them inside. This kind of happens in moments. When Jeff Bagwell, he was one of my favorite power hitters in the 90s. He had this really unique stance. He'd get real low. And in 1994, I think it was the strike season, he was having an MVP year, and he would always crowd the plate. So he wanted to minimize the strike zone. And he'd get real low like this, and he would just use all of his explosion from the bottom to hit bombs. He played for the Astros, and he got hit in his wrist. This happened throughout his career because he would crowd the plate, and he broke his wrist. And then I remember the very next season, him rehabbing, recovering from that. It took him a while to get back on track because of that. That's in your head. So my point is, with a boxer, with Devin, from what I saw against Ramirez, I don't know if it's tough to come back from. And it's not like he's going up against a counter boxer or a guy who's just going to want a death by 1,000 paper cuts. He's going to who's going to be aggressive. He's going to force Devin to fight him. He's going to be way more skilled than Ramirez in terms of cutting the ring off. And there's going to be moments in there where Devin's going to have to bite down on his gum shield. If you guys like Norman Jr. in this fight, wait. Trust me. I'm waiting. Like I said, I'm going to wait till Friday. I think those odds are going to flip flop. People are the sort of amateur gamblers. By Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll see that Devin's a favorite, and they'll throw heavy on him just because of that. And by then, we'll get the flip-flop odds. Mike Larry, is that some? You got the Henny? I see that Henny bottle. That ain't that VSOP, though. Was that Henny? Man, many nights where off on that Henny. If you drink Hennessy, you know what I mean. Off on that Henny. Off on that water. Do you think Harlem Eubank beats Josh Wagner? Look, I don't really like going too heavy on guys that the fight before I picked them to lose. We saw Harlem, and we know there was some, the cut. He lost the 7th round technical decision against Jack. But I did all of Harlem's tape. Even in that fight, guys, there were some boys who were picking Harlem to beat Jack, and I was like, you guys are high, dude. Every fight, dude, you guys always undersell Jack for some reason. And so my point, to answer your question, MMA, going into this Wagner fight, I really got to sit and do tape. I think Harlem could be on upset alert. That's not my official prediction. We'll see. I'll let you know. Do you think Harlem Eubank? I mean, he's the favorite. I think he's a 2-1 right now, right? Let's check it. I think he should be on upset alert, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's how I would put it. I would actually say this would be a 50-50 fight, Wagner versus Eubank. I mean, if Harlem's last name was Harlem Smith, that's not a good one because the Smith last name in the UK is synonymous. Harlem Jackson, and not that last name Eubank. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's on upset alert. I like those odds. Bam inside say, I don't know, man. You guys sleeping on Puma. Puma's a dog, dude. Have you watched Puma fight? Dude, Fernando Martinez is a dog. To think that I need to educate you fools real quick. To think that Bam is gonna go in there and stop a guy under 6 rounds who's never lost and he's never been stopped. You guys need to watch Puma fight. This dude is a dog. Super flyweight too. So you know what I'm saying? It's not like Bam's a 115. I think this fight is at 15, so Puma's coming down. No, it's at 18. I got those mixed up. It's at 115. Yeah, you just under six. That's super disrespectful. Bam's one of my favorite fighters, but to just say that he's gonna stop Puma under six is insane to me. Puma's a good fighter. This is gonna be a real fun fight. He thinks he's gonna win this fight. His fans think he's gonna win this fight. So the reason why I reference that is that Bam's gonna he's dealing with a guy who's trying to win. It's not a guy. It's not a guy who's hesitant or cautious. Now, granted, that bravery could get him stopped under six. Bam is a special talent. Bam is on my pound for pound list. I'm just trying to give my due diligence to Puma. Watch his tape. Watch how he fights. He's a fun guy. It's a great fight. That fight could steal the show. Bam versus Puma. It could be It's going to be a fire fight. Do you think David Benavidez would be in a My issue with Benavidez at 174 is his power. And Yard is a beast. The thing about Yard is we watch Yard in his last fight against Lyndon Arthur, and sometimes Anthony Yard goes through these phases in a fight where he just kind of looks disinterested. He kind of looks like he disappears. And if you do that against Benavidez, that's a tough sort of hill to come back from. Yard look, you'd have to think though, with all that being said, we're going to see the best version of Yard. He's not coming. Guys, these are alpha athletes. These are alphas. Yard's not going to go to Riyadh trying to get embarrassed. So I want to see, I think it'll be close. I don't think he's going to destroy Anthony Yard. The Discord. You guys were giving me goddamn anxiety. Dude, PJ's out of his goddamn mind. And I mean that in the bet. PJ, you guys were trolling me. Talking about he lost to UD. And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, so Puma, he is aggressive. We'll see. I think the knockdowns could be a play. If this is your sort of style, if you guys have success long term on doing knockdown props, do it. I'm not it's not one of my modalities that I'm too successful doing knockdown prop bets. Boxing afternoon chat. I ate on Scobie versus Seam. I bet his Seam decision cash out run. Nice, man. Good pick. I like no distance for Benavidez Yard. Let's pull it up. Let's pull out the Google. Okay, let's see the last time Yard got stopped. He's been stopped twice. Better be if Yard was down in the 8th. Is a corner, yeah. So that better be a fight. And then the second, I think it was the second Lyndon Arthur fight. Kovalev. He's been stopped twice. He stopped Lyndon. So Kovalev and Beterbiev. That was a different Kovalev too, dude. Kovalev used to be the boogeyman. So 6 foot, orthodox, 34 years old. Yard seems older than that, doesn't he? And David's 28. It's really tough to bet against David Benavidez. You know what I mean? He's one of these guys that I like how unapologetically authentic he is. You know what I mean? He's a unique cat. He'll say things. That picture, I think, encapsulates him. That intensity. I wouldn't be betting against David Benavidez. You know what? I could see him stopping Yard, but you never know. Yard's tough. Here's what it's going to come down to. Does Yard really want to be a world champion? If Yard is fighting to become, and it sounds kind of contradictory, right? But you know what I mean. Sometimes you see fights. This is for he's fighting for a world title, but does he want to be a world champion? Those are two. You gotta. Those are two different things. You know what I mean? Because that Lyndon Arthur fight was really close. I had Lyndon up 4-1 going into the 6th, and I bet on Yard. It wasn't a good performance. So he goes from that performance and he gets this world title opportunity. It could, I mean, the Lyndon Arthur we saw against Bradley Ray, that was one of our dogs. I don't know, man. He looked real flat to me against Lyndon Arthur. And if that version shows up against Dave, Benavidez is going to run away with that and maybe probably stop him late. So I don't know. Maybe the no distance is a play. Benavidez, one of the most entertaining. Yeah, I agree. One big time on Catterall stoppage. Delgado fight. That Delgado fight. I'm glad I wasn't watching it live. You're going all in on Haney. This will be a fun chat to have then. He's going all in on Devin Haney. I think Haney's going to get stopped. Even though he's never I don't know, man. I'm not putting a dime. There's nothing about Devin Haney that I would put $1 on, by the way. I am waiting. How think about it. So that fighter against Ramirez we're going to bet on. That fighter against Ryan. I mean, Ryan was Let's throw the Garcia fight away. Okay, here's something for you guys. Devin Haney's 32-0. Okay? When you dissect his 32 fights, 16 of them were in Mexico. Okay? I just went over this on a Instagram debate. I was debating somebody on one of these American clickbaity boxing sites, and I was just using stats, and they got all butthurt. I was like, let's remove the first 16 fights and just talk about the American career. So he's 16-0 with 4 stoppages, right? He has 4 stoppages in his last 16 fights. Look who they're against. I wrote this down in my notes because when I'm doing my breakdown, this is a major talking point for me. Hamza Sempowo. So his last 16 fights, he's 16-0 with 4 knockouts. Hamza Sempowo, who was 14-8. Mason Menard, who was 33-2. Antonio Moran, who was 17-3. Zaur Abdullayev was his last knockout. I think that was in 2019. He was 11-0. That was at 135 pounds. Why does this matter? Because Devin doesn't get Brian Norman Jr.'s respect early. He's gonna get stopped, man. There's no point of looking at what if you're a Devin Haney fan and you think that you look at what it looks like on paper, his legacy. He's only 26, but I mean, none of that matters come fight night. All that matters is he's going to be in there with a real killer in Brian Norman, and I mean, I don't know. I would not be comfortable taking Devin Haney to beat Brian Norman Jr. That's all. That's where I stand right now. Do you think Devin's defensive skills are better than Hitchens? Well, when I think of Richardson Hitchens, I think about his jab. I think about his hand speed. I think about his feet. Defensive skills. I don't like Devin's high guard. I don't like his defense in the pocket. I think he's leaky, actually. I always talk about Devin's right hand not coming back to the chin. I don't like. He kind of looks a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. There's not a lot about Devin I like over the last 2 years. If we're saying what have you done for me lately, you're going to put your money on the guy you've seen over the last 2 years versus this version of Norman, who's getting better every fight, who's 24 years old, who's a world champion, who's never been beaten. That has to come into consideration. Let's remove the aura. Take AURA out of the conversation. Remove that, meaning that whatever you know about Devin, whatever you know about Brian, remove all that. None of that matters. Pretend neither one of them you don't even know their names. You're just looking at these 2 fighters who are fighting this weekend, and all you know is what they look like over the last 600 days. Okay, so over the last 600 days, you have this fighter who's 24, don't know his name. You have this fighter who's 26, don't know his name. And then you see them over those 600 days, and you see them whether they're leveling up with how they're performing, or they're maintaining, or they're staying the same, or they're degrading. How are you taking Devin Haney? That's all I'm saying. That's one of the things. That's one of the things I do when I'm breaking tape down. It's like I'm like, what have you done for me lately? I wouldn't be confident putting money on Haney. If he goes out there and has a great performance, I'm going to be like, it's good to see. Because then I'll sit here and say, good for Devin Haney. It's good to see 26 years old. His career's back on track. I love a comeback story. I love the fact that he overcame all that adversity with Garcia, who, obviously popped dirty. I like how he overcame all that, the haters for saying that he ran against Ramirez. And I didn't have any faith in him in beating Norman, and he proved me wrong. And I would say, hell yeah. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Haney. I'm not hating on Haney. I'm talking about from a non-emotional breakdown perspective, which I always do on my channel. Who do I see winning over the last 600 days, mate? There's no way I'm taking this fighter who's 26 over the. And you, dude, people are insane with not really understanding the relevance of leveling up as a fighter, the relevance of leveling up as a fighter, the relevance of a psychological advantage as a fighter, the relevance of being a confident fighter in a blood sport. What confidence means. Okay, so we forget about Rocha fighting Santillan. Rocha was the favorite. Santillan upsets Rocha. We forget about Brian going to fight Gio as the underdog, and Brian getting hurt, getting clipped, and then stopping Santillan. We forget about the Cuevas fight. Nobody talks about this stuff. So I'm talking about all the good things. Going into the Cuevas fight, I break the tape down. I said, I really want to see Brian lock up a little bit of his defense. Maybe, don't come on a straight line on his entrances. Don't showcase the backhand so evidently. And, he did get clipped, I think, at the end of the second round, but then he stops Cuevas. Cuevas was supposed to be the biggest puncher. Cuevas was supposed to be the guy that, Norman, never fought a puncher like that. What's he do? Stops him early. Next fight, puts his hand up to go to Japan to fight a one-loss guy knockout artist who was supposed to be the guy to beat Norman. Make Norman fight on his back foot. How's he going to deal with this pressure foot, front fighter, one-punch knockout guy, a Japanese knockout artist, and Jin Sasaki? What did he do? Fucking fought the fight of his life. Looked amazing. So you're telling me all of that, because all of those are facts. There's no emotions there. That's the story of Brian over the last 600 days. When you're looking at that story and you're reading the book, maybe this is the writer in me. When I'm reading that story of that book, right? And I'm reading the other guy's story, how am I confident with betting on the other guy's story? That's all I'm saying. If Norman beats him up too bad, Haney getting that. It wasn't too long ago that people said Brian was the worst champ at 47. Who said that? He only got elevated. He wasn't a champion. What? Norman Jr. wasn't even a champion at 47. It was, people said Brian was the worst champ at 47, and then Bob Arum gives him gin on a silver platter, and all of a sudden he's the best champ at 47. All right. Vacancies. Jerron leaves at 47. He's no longer there. So Mario Barrios, you would take Mario over Brian? You would take Raleigh over Brian? You would take Patty over Brian? Lewis Crocker, I mean? I always get mixed up with Lewis Crocker and Patty. Because in my head, I think Patty won that fight. I wouldn't. I would take Stanionis over Crocker. I would take Stanionis over Barrios. I would take Stanionis over Raleigh. Even though Stanionis got washed against Jerron, I just think, the 47 is very light, especially at the top. That's just how I look at it. Nah, that ain't. That better not be his game plan. That better not be his game plan. Is going to be to jab and catch him on. His game plan is going to be is to jab, control Brian Norman. Haney's going to want to domesticate Brian Norman early. Control Brian Norman's pressure coming in with his jab, which he can. And so this is, if you're a Devin Haney fan, this is what you guys are betting on. You're betting on Haney's jab, his speed, his use of distance and space and keeping Brian at a specific range. And then that will then upset and disrupt Brian's rhythm, Brian's game plan, and we're going to see if Brian has a plan B. That's it's going to be that simple. I always tell new clients when I'm teaching them the fundamentals of boxing, the complexity in boxing is its simplicity. You know, even just think about throwing a jab properly. All it is one arm extended. You know what I mean? That's it. But how many pros do we know whose jab is shit? It seems pretty basic to just drill that over and over, but it's not. We know that body positioning, timing, extension, strength, conditioning, volume, angles, placement, your feet, your core, your breath. It's so technical. So boxing's complexity lies within its simplicity. And in this game plan, in this sort of cat and mouse, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be that simple. And so I see a lot of the boxing heads online. They're just saying that Devin is going to be able to control range with that jab. We'll see. Johnny, you getting too down? You guys, we'll see, mate. I have to respond back to him. Guys, I got to wild out. Wild out. I'll see you in the next one.